Welcome. Today's talk, we will be talking about rituals as a portal to the sacred within. Let's take a moment and ground ourselves and become present in the moment. We stand at the doorway between worlds. With breath, we enter. With intention, we awaken. And with ritual, we remember who we are. So, contrary to popular beliefs, ritual is not some mystical performance, where we're rattling. And I mean, sometimes we are, but we're going to go just a little bit deeper than that, okay? And exploring how does it make sense in our lives? Is it useful? Is it relevant? Is it needed? Is it timely? These are some questions that you can be asking yourself. How do I integrate this within my life to make it meaningful and tangible? So it's not something we do to impress the divine. It's not part of religious materialism. It is a remembering. It is a moment when the outer acts align with the inner, when our bodies becomes a prayer, when our hands, our voices, our tears become the doorway to the sacred. This is what we are seeking. How do we become balanced where the inner turmoil will kind of like ease up a little bit? So we often think about sacred, something far away between like heaven, nirvana, the ancestors, God, but ritual reminds us to be who we are. It's deep. It's sacred. It has never left. It is ingrained in our DNA. So it's very simple to say, okay, what is your ritual? You mean you do a lot of rituals, but you may have not labeled it as such. When you wake up in the morning, what do? Hopefully, you brush your teeth. Hopefully, you conduct hygiene. When you go to bed, what do? Hopefully, we do the same, right? So these are rituals. And sometimes, you might do a ritual before you come in the house, decompress in the car. I'm leaving all the work stuff on the road, in the office, before I enter the sacred space of my home. So, reminder, it's not something far away. It's something alive, something meaningful. It lives in the breath, in the body, in the bones, in your DNA. And when we stop and step into a ritual with awareness, it kind of like reframes everything. It makes things more meaningful instead of like taking the plate of food and plopping it down, picking up your phone and just eating. When you say, okay, I'm extending my gratitude to all those who have contributed to the making of this meal. May it provide nourishment. May it sustain me throughout my journey today. And then you eat your food. And then it starts to change. You're like, oh, well, I'm not eating so fast. I'm not just shoveling food in my mouth. I'm taking time to say, okay, what is this action? It is eating. I'm eating. That's what it is. So now, ritual as activation, awakening dormant sacred energies. I know many of us have heard of the yin and the yang. So that's what's bringing us to the feminine and the masculine. It's this constant need to balance these energies as we navigate our environment. So everyone carries these blueprints of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within them. And certain situations will call you to show up in your feminine energy. Certain situations may call you to show up in your masculine energies. But due to trauma, conditioning, colonization, and even survival, these energies become suppressed, twisted, and asleep. So, what does this look like? You may have been forced to say, little boys don't cry. Stop being like a girl, or no, you shouldn't be so rough. Don't be so rough, or stop doing this. So, these are little things that starts to pick away and start to change our relationships with the feminine divine and the masculine. And so, when we stop and say, okay, how do I balance this? How do it make sense to all of this? How do I begin to heal these traumas and start to redefine myself and how I have relationships with these energies to make it meaningful? So the feminine may hide beneath the shame, the silence, and the exhaustion, whereas the masculine may lash out in aggression, collapse in passivity, and shut down emotionally. So stop and take a few minutes, moments, not minutes. We don't have that much time. So take a few moments and think, when have you exhibit these emotions? When have you shut down emotionally? When have you hid due to shame and became silent? When have you just been exhausted? Now, don't get me wrong, everybody gets exhausted. But just ask yourself these questions. And which one is dominant in your life right now? And that would be a little breadcrumb as to what energy you are currently operating in. So some of us overdevelop one side and then neglect the other. How are we showing up for ourselves? And meta, can we nurture ourselves from our feminine energy? Can we be strict on ourselves from our masculine energy? And then when we're engaging in interpersonal relationships, can we balance out the other person to reduce the conflict? Because remember, everything is seeking balance. So ritual is rest, it is remembrance, and it's rebalancing. So by anointing the body, burning old scripts, dancing, praying, chanting, we're signaling the psyche and the soul to remember who we are on the deep, deep side of us, and that is the feminine and the masculine and balanced. Everything we're doing is that trying to get us to remember. We always like, what is your authentic self? Like, be you, be you. Like, okay, now what is that? What am I? These are the little breadcrumbs that we can try to figure it out. So in Buddhist practice, this is mindfulness in action. So we light incense, not to please a deity, but to focus the mind. Still it. We're coming in with intention. Everything that we do is intentional. We are aware. It's not surprising to us. We are not letting life just happen to us. We are happening to life. So we bow not of submission, but to remember humility and presence. And the ritual, we become the ritual. The form carries the energy, and the energy awakens us. How have you been awakened? How have you shown up intentionally? And how have that intention bred confidence, courage, excitement, love? How have all of that bred something bigger? So, indigenous and mythological wisdom, ritual as survival and sovereignty. So now in the indigenous tradition, ritual was never separated from daily life. Mm-mm. No, it was how people ate. It was how they healed, how they bathed, how they hunted, mourned, and celebrate transition. How are we doing that now? Do we know? Did we do it with intention in order for us to remember? To then be able to say, this is my ritual. This is my ritual. And in African traditions, ritual is the calling of the ancestors, the guide to guide decisions. And what that looks like is you're calling, Grandma, please, I need your hand. I need you to guide me. I don't understand what's happening. Come in with your authority. Light my path. Is this constant building of these relationships. The Native American tradition, ritual sweat lodges, cleansing of the body and the spirit, making sure that you're physically and spiritually fit to handle the complexities of life, the challenges, the hardships. And in the Caribbean and Afro-Indigenous communities, drumming and dancing invokes the deities, the distant gods. It's the reflection of the energies within. What does your hips do? What does your feet do? That feet gives you that authority. It's summoning the masculine. You're stomping, you're standing your ground, you're anchored like a mountain. And the feminine, the swaying of the hips is calling in the feminine energy. These are rituals. And when people come together, that rituals become powerful. It takes on shape, it takes on life. It tends to make the traumas, the difficulties melt away. And it allows for resiliency and endurance. So, ritual in these traditions is not optional, it is survival. It is how identity and culture and wholeness are preserved. Even the mythology, heroes must pass through the sacred rites. And the hero's journey, crossing the threshold, always involves some kind of ritual, trial, a loss, a vision, a symbolic death. Man, that journey is hard, but it's one that must be met. In order for you to kind of gain your badge, say, I did it. I have met my shadow inside, and I've seen it, and I cried, and I went through the fire, and I made it. Now I can usher people through. I stand the test of times. Hero's journey. Why? Because without ritual, we do not transform. We only endure. We are not here just to endure. We are here to remember what? Who we are. And that is balance, that is perfection. So, when we're going into ritual as healing trauma and reclaiming the wholeness, the trauma is what disconnects us, is what rips us apart, is what causes the heart to weep is what's causing the imbalance. So, from the body, from the breath, from the source, ritual is what reconnects us. It gives the body a role in the healing and the spirit of language beyond words. So, when someone pours water into your hands with intention, your nerve system softens. When you stand in a circle and share your story, witness without judgment, something reorganizes. It's something about being in the middle of a prayer circle that just breaks you down. You can be good all day long, but let someone old pray over you. Oh, you might not be able to survive that without breaking. You're going to need some tissues. And so that's the power of that ritual. It's calling within something deeper into you, and it's really saying you're not alone. When you light a candle for your younger self, and then you dance with your ancestors, you are not just doing something symbolically, you are changing your inner chemistry. You are reweaving reality. What you think about is what you bring about. And when you know how these energies work with one another, then it can become fun. It can become meaningful. So in ritual, we reclaim the right to cry, the right to be held, the right to feel joy without guilt, the right to lead and receive, and the right to live a whole being as whole beings, not something torn apart by trauma and tragedy. It's our constant commitment to reclaim what is rightfully ours, which is balance. And the feminine energy returns through movement, expression, softness, and prayer. The masculine energy returns through protection, boundaries, commitment, action, and we hold in the ritual space these energies, not in war, but in union, in the dance, in the fiber of our makeup. It's not saying, oh, you must choose. You must choose. You can't be both. No, you're balanced. You're dynamic, not static. So ritual is a portal. It's not separate from our lives. We can live as ritual. Every cup of tea can be sacred. Every walk in the woods can be a prayer. And every boundary we set can be a flame of the divine masculine. And every tear we allow can be a waterfall of divine feminine. I'm not shameful of crying, I promise you. I'm not. I keep tissues in my bag, man. Whew, some things be hard. And I operate in my feminine, and it's okay for me to cry, just as it's okay for you to cry. Male or female, if we have to water the grounds, then water the grounds. If we have to defend the grounds, then stand strong and defend the grounds. So you are not lacking sacred energy. We are only waiting for a way to remember, and the ritual is how we remember. I appreciate you for taking the time to be in this space, to listen to the talk of the ritual as a portal to the sacred within.